Welcome, everyone, to the Insurance Perspectives podcast. This is part one of our series on Rhodian Group. On today's show, we have Jim Dahoney.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
And Kris Bryant.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Doing great. It's good to be here. Jim will receive a full introduction in part two. As a sneak peek, he is the Executive Vice President, Chief Operations Officer, and Director of Strategic Acquisitions at Marshall+Sterling, based out of Poughkeepsie, New York. He has been with Marshall+Sterling for over 20 years, and his leadership has been integral in scaling their insurance services and fostering a culture of continuous improvement. Kris Bryant is the Chief Revenue Officer and Co-President for Rhodian Group. Kris has been with Rhodian Group for about a year and a half and brings more than 30 years of experience in sales, marketing, partnerships, development, and customer success for large technology firms. Her focus is to partner with clients to give them competitive advantages and achieve accelerated operational excellence. Kris is an avid reader, a published cook, and she likes to spend most of her downtime mastering new recipes. I really want to know two things. In, let's say, last few months, best book you've read and the best recipe you've made. Favorite book you've read?
Favorite book I read. I just finished, and this will be no surprise, I guess, Ina Garten, who is known as the Barefoot Contessa, her autobiography, and it was very interesting to me.
Oh, excellent. So, sure.
So
I always enjoy watching her.
You'll see a theme here when it comes to me and cooking and chefs. So, and I really like making chicken parmesan. It's one of the family and friends favorites. So I guess that's probably the one I'll stick with.
Excellent.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. I love cooking as well. And when I saw the research notes from our producer, Jeff, I was like, oh, this is excellent. I'll need to talk to Kris about this offline. So definitely look forward to me picking your brain outside of the professional environment about cooking.
Cooking it's a great release from technology, I'll tell you.
Absolutely. So to set the stage, before we dive into the partner questions that our audience is familiar with, could you give us the elevator pitch for Rhodian Group? What do you guys do for an insurance agency?
Sure. Rhodian is an MSP. We provide managed IT services and cyber services as well as compliance needs, primarily to insurance agencies in the U.S. We've been around since 2005. And we are also focused on healthcare and financial services, but today our community of clients is 50% plus insurance agencies of all shapes and sizes.
Awesome. HawkSoft believes in the power of a company or an individual story. That's why I brought up your passion for cooking, because there's a lot of people that'll connect with that aspect of it, of your personality, your background. We want to start each partner interview going directly to the story of that partner, explaining why you're involved in the insurance agency space and what motivates you to continue participating in that space. Why does your company exist? But if you look at it a different way, what is the reason for Rhodian Group participating in the independent agency channel?
If you look at the environment that the insurance agency channel represents, it's a fast-moving, client-intensive environment, and usually it's a little short-handed, and there's so many things to do every day, and you never know what the day's going to bring to you. So whether you're prospecting, new customers or servicing existing customers and dealing with some really awful circumstances like accidents and fires and floods and all that catastrophe that comes into an insurance agency's lap. You need help. And so because of the type of information that's contained in an insurance agency environment and the need to protect not only that information, but the reputation of the insurance agency to the community. And and prospective clients as well. We're here to help improve operations and take some of that technology angst off the table
Hmm.
for agency leaders. And we're trying to protect the agency, frankly, from a lot of loss that could be evident if they were hacked. And
Hmm.
more and more, we're seeing lots of vulnerabilities and trying to help leaders to fill those gaps.
Yeah, absolutely. HawkSoft has a technology company. We spend a lot of time antagonizing around our practices the best at keeping things safe. Is everybody following our, you know, security measures and all that fun stuff? And we're technology professionals. We live and breathe technology. Um, it's a whole different specialization for an independent agency. They're experts on insurance. They're experts on mitigating risk, but that can be like, how do you mitigate risk and make sure a farm is protected? How do you make sure that a business or a contractor, someone driving down the road, how are they safe? How are they best protected? How are they covered? And that's a lot to carry. That's a lot of mental burden to carry. And then also think like, oh, how do I protect my cybersecurity risk? That's a big
Yeah.
ask.
Yeah. How do I configure my technology, environment to best protect, my livelihood? It's
Hmm.
my business, and I employ people, and I need to keep them employed, and I can't risk the state of my firm. And so we feel the responsibility to help insurance agencies keep current as well.
Hmm.
As technology continues to change so rapidly, and the cyber needs change so rapidly as well. We feel responsible.
Absolutely. To dig a bit more on the background of Rhodian Group, um, you've been with the company for over a year and a half now. How long has Rhodian Group itself been active, and what does it look like as an organization? I
Yeah.
think people hear like IT services, managed services, cybersecurity, and maybe they're thinking, oh, I know that company, they're down the road and it's two guys in a shop. But what is Rhodian Group structured like?
Yeah, so founded in 2005 as a Microsoft service provider, tier
Mm,
one provider. And then about 3.5 years ago, acquired a company called Rigibits, which was
mm,
a cyber company that did a lot of risk assessment, pen testing, vulnerability scanning, etc. Used to be a little Chicago centric,
mm,
because the headquarters was in Lincolnwood, Illinois, now in Rosemont, Illinois, suburbs of Chicago, but now is spread out all over the country, frankly. And so we have personnel coast to coast now, which also sort of mirrors the placement of our existing client base, which has
mm.
grown significantly in the last 3 years in particular.
Nice. Thank you. I've always been impressed with the range of folks at your company. Everyone that I've been able to work with there has been fantastic. And I think that you guys have a very professional shop, very um, detail oriented, very service oriented.
We're known as nice people.
Absolutely.
And
Um,
we work really hard and wear a lot of hats in order to make sure that our customers are as happy as they can be. And and many of us have insurance backgrounds. You
mm,
mentioned my technology background, but
hmm.
I have 30 years of insurance background as well. So
Fantastic.
understand the workflows and the
Hmm.
headaches. So
I think insurance, it's one of the oldest businesses in the United States. It's one of the most complex businesses in the United States, and I think having hands-on knowledge helps a lot.
it does.
When we talk about ourselves, our own products, we often acknowledge that there is a level of feature overlap that everybody has to have. But then where we get to stand out is this like 20% differentiator that makes us unique. And in today's business world, the concept of a managed service provider and IT services, they're ubiquitous. Cybersecurity is increasing in how common it needs to be in the business world. Um, by no means does that mean that every company that operates in that space is the same. So, Kris, if you had to pick one aspect of Rhodian Group that draws in and keeps your customers, what would that be?
I guess it would be the business model, which is this combination of technology management with the
Mm-hmm.
cyber controls. I think that's unique. Sometimes you'll see a cyber company or you'll see an MSP. The
Mm-hmm.
combination of both, I think, gives a really strong, a robust offering to clients as their business
Yeah.
continues to evolve. So, and then I think a close second is that insurance knowledge. We do a
Mm.
lot of conferences across the country, and more folks will approach our booth and say, "How much insurance background do you
Mm.
have? How many agencies do you support?" So
Mm.
that vertical knowledge is becoming more and more
Mm.
critical.
So then I want to bring Jim into the conversation. Um, how does that answer resonate with your experience working with Rhodian Group? Is that something that draws in Marshall and Sterling, their insurance background and their professionalism, or is there another aspect?
Yes, it does resonate with me that they do have a background in insurance. Um, I think we may have been their first insurance agency that was brought on board. And for us, what we wanted to look for years was a turnkey solution that would have
Mm.
cybersecurity built in, all the requirements for the states that we do business in to meet cybersecurity requirements for state laws, but also um, we wanted to have a one-stop shop for not
Mm.
only licensing of software, the ability to access remotely from anywhere, and have that be secure. So definitely, it was a solution that was long overdue for us. We looked for many years to find a solution that could provide that for us. We hosted
Hmm.
our own data centers, and luckily we met Rhodian, and they provided that for us.
And we both have been growing like weeds ever since. So there you go.
This is an interesting question. We ask every partner about their position on um, data ownership, and usually it's a conversation between um, a data warehouse type company like HawkSoft and someone who's accessing that data to utilize it for another service. But as a company that's integral to the storage, safekeeping, maintenance of an agency's data and their digital presence, I'd love to get your Rhodian Group's perspective on data ownership as it relates to an agency. Kris, what is Rhodian Group's approach to that idea of data ownership, and how do you guys go about safeguarding it?
Yeah, I want to be really clear about this. You own your data. We are stewards of your data, and
Mm.
we make sure that it's accessible to you when you need it, that it's reliable, so it hasn't been affected in any negative way, and that it's secure at all times. And so we feel responsible for your data, but it's your data.
Mm. Excellent. Um, and Jim, for you as someone who is in this acquisition mode, onboarding a lot of new offices into Marshall and Sterling, how much does the data ownership piece of it factor into your decision making around the services you're utilizing, the companies you're utilizing? Um, how is that a factor in your decision making?
I would say that's not really a factor anymore. It used to be in the past when there were vendors out there that actually were mining your data, using it for data analytics, and also at one point owned the data. Won't mention any names, but there was a big legal battle between two agency management systems that one said they owned the customer's data, and the other one said no, you don't, and they were successful in fighting that. But we trust our partners, and we know our data is our data, but it is important that is carried through by vendors, across agency management systems, technology vendors. So
Now, our podcast is a dialogue between solution partners, service providers, and insurance professionals, and we view this as a two-way street. So we owe it to our allies in the agency space to be honest about the difficulties in supporting their businesses. Because through this, we can find more avenues for collaborating on better solutions. With that in mind, I like to cue this up as half of not necessarily a compliment sandwich because there's only two pieces on this, but we do the hard part first and then we end with the easier part. So, Kris, from your experience working in insurance and now with your role at the Rhodian Group, what is the hardest part of working with insurance agencies?
I don't know if this is something we're going to fix real soon, but it's hard to get the attention sometimes of insurance agencies, only because you're so busy servicing clients. And so many folks will say, oh, I've got to take care of my cyber protection this quarter, or I'm going to freak out. But then trying to get them on the horn to do that is sometimes difficult, and it's just the nature of the beast. And so we're just patient and persistent, and that's the best we can do to handle that one.
Jim, do you feel that as an agent, is it hard to, or as someone helping run a large agency group, is it hard to pick and choose what you want to focus on?
it is hard. There's so many things that happen in a day. I do wear many hats. We're an employee-owned organization. We're an ESOP. So many of us wear many hats because we try to do things efficiently and cost effectively. If there's something that I know can be done excellently and efficiently without me having to be involved and can give me time back in my day and my staff additional time, I'm going to try to utilize that technology. So definitely it helps us focus on other areas because in day-to-day life in an insurance agency, especially one that does acquire other agencies, there's many things that grab your attention. And if I can get a little time back in my day that I don't need to focus on something that someone else can help us with, that definitely is our end goal.
Yeah, and that I feel like is always going to be, that to me should always be like kind of the thing that tips the scales towards or away from a solution partner or a new service within an agency is it adding time to my day or is it taking it away? And it sounds like Rhodian Group is one of those services that is giving you more time back in your day because they can handle what they're experts in, and then I can leave you the kind of the peace of mind to say like, oh, if we bring this agency on, I know that I can turn over their IT needs to Rhodian Group and not have to like drive out to a new office, unplug and plug back in some computers, that type of thing, to oversimplify IT needs.
Yes, definitely. It gives our IT staff and the rest of our staff time back in their day because, as you know, IT involves many different areas. At one time, we did have a CEO that said, "Why do we need an IT department?" It wasn't really that long ago when he said that, and everything that comes in the door, IT usually is touching, regardless. There's a screen on it, data is passing back and forth. And many aspects of their day are taken up by many different tasks to keep our business running. And if we can give them time to focus on those and be more efficient and responsive to their clients, which is our staff, that really helps us be successful. So definitely am glad we have this relationship with Rhodian.
And that'll kind of cue me up for the last question I have for Kris today. This question offers an opportunity to complete the narrative arc of a partner's portion of the episode. it should be an opportunity to maybe revisit some of those motivations from question one. It can also be a foil to the hardships discussed in the prior question. I've yet to start a fight. It's my goal for this latest season. I want to get some real conflict going, but unfortunately, the relationship nature of our industry means that we are always having the tough conversation. I've never met an agent that shies away from telling me the reality of their business, or a solution partner that hides kind of the two-way street nature of this. Nevertheless, it's kind of the final opportunity. This next question is the final opportunity for a partner to demonstrate their commitment and understanding and investment in the independent agency channel. Kris, I would love to know, what is the best part of working with insurance agencies for you?
I feel like our DNA is aligned. Insurance agencies are champion relationship builders, and they carry that into the partner relationship as well. And they care deeply, we care deeply, and together, on the smooth days, we work like clockwork. On the not so smooth days, we're right in there up to our elbows trying to help out. And so I just feel like the camaraderie between our independent insurance agency clients and Rhodian is really valuable.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely can see how it would be nice to, even on those rough times, to be in the trenches with a customer that you're helping solve their needs and helping resolve scary situations. Definitely sounds rewarding to me.
And I think, both the agency and Rhodian, we're both into educating and helping and researching and, whatever we can do to solve a problem. That's what we're into.
Excellent. I think that is a great place for us to land here on part one. And I want to thank Kris for being in the hot seat today, and Jim for joining along. Thank you for watching today's episode. Click the video description below to learn more about our guests and to view the latest podcast episode, as well as other content from HawkSoft. We appreciate you watching and hope you join us next time on the Insurance Perspectives podcast. Thank you.